In Unit 2, Section 6, we are talking about simplifying expressions, which is a really critical part to lay your foundation before Algebra 1 next year. But before we can actually simplify expressions, we need to look at some definitions. So we need to identify the different parts of an expression. So the first thing is a term. The terms are the parts of an expression that are added together. A coefficient is a number of a term that has a variable. So for instance, if we had 6x, the 6 would be the coefficient. A constant term is a number that does not have a variable with it, so like -4 would be a constant term. And then like terms have identical variable parts. So for instance, 3x squared and 9x squared would be like terms because they're both x squared. So there are some definitions. Make sure you write those down. Those will make more sense as we look at examples. So on the next part, it says to identify the terms, like terms, coefficients, and constant terms. So we're going to apply those definitions we just looked at. So I'm going to apologize in advance because I might wind up going all over the page, but just bear with me. So the first thing we want to do is rewrite this as addition only. So we'll turn -5 into plus -5. We'll turn -90 into plus -90, and we'll have plus 17 at the end. That just makes life easier when we're finding the different parts and when we're simplifying expressions. So the first thing we need to do is find all of the terms. So everything in the expression is a term. So 4D is a term, -5, -90, and 17 are all terms. If you remember our definition of a term, of terms is the parts of an expression that are added together. That's why we wrote it as addition at first. The next thing we're going to look at are the like terms. So 4D and -90 are going to be like terms. -5 and 17 are going to be like terms. Those both have the same variable parts. 4D and -90 both have a D. -5 and 17 both have no variable parts, so that's why they're also like terms. The next thing we need to look at are our coefficients. So the coefficients from our definition is the number part of a term. So in order to have a coefficient, you have to have a variable. So for 4D, our coefficient is 4. And for -90, our coefficient is -9. -5 and 17 don't have coefficients because they don't have a variable part. But when we look at our constant terms are going to be the -5 and the 17 because they don't have any variable parts with them. All right, go ahead and take a second to jot that down. Looking at number 2 now, the first thing we want to do is rewrite this as addition. So we have -8p. We're going to rewrite -12 as plus -12. We have plus 7p, and then we're going to rewrite -11 as plus -11. So now we can label our different parts. Again, our terms are everything in the expression. So -8p, -12, 7p, and -11. Make sure you keep those negatives on there. Those don't go away. Our like terms are everything with the same variable part, so that's -8p and 7p are like terms. And then we have -12 and -11 are like terms. -8p and 7p have the same variable. -12 and -11 do not have variables, so they're like terms. Next up, we have coefficients, which are the numbers in front of the variables. So in this case, that's -8 and 7. And then our constant terms are the numbers without variables, so that's -12 and -11. All right, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Moving on to the next part, now we're actually going to look at simplifying these expressions. So we've defined the different parts, we've found the different parts, and now we're actually going to simplify. So our first one, the first thing we're going to do is rewrite everything as addition. So we have 27 plus -13t plus 32 plus -2t plus 10t. So that's going to be our first step. Now I'm going to show you a way that takes a little bit longer because I think it makes sure you get everything. If you don't need to do it this way, that's fine, but I'm going to show you the long way. So my next step is going to be to put the like terms together. So -13t plus -2t plus 10t. I'm going to write all those next to each other. Then I'll have my constant terms, that's plus 27 and plus 32. Negative 13t plus negative 2t is negative 15t plus 10t plus 27 plus 32. Negative 15t plus 10t is negative 5t, and 27 plus 32 is 59. And then my expression is simplified. I know that I've simplified all the way because I don't have any like terms remaining. And another thing to notice is that negative 5t and 59 cannot be added together because they both have to have the same variable part. They have to be like terms in order to add them together. All right, I'm going to let you guys try number 2. I'm going to move down here and do number 3. So again, my first step is going to be to rewrite everything as addition. So plus negative 22j and plus negative 27. Then I'm going to put my like terms next to each other. So I have negative 11j plus negative 22j plus 5j. And then I have my constant terms, so plus 16 and plus negative 27. Negative 11j plus negative 22j is negative 33j plus 5j plus 16 plus negative 27. Negative 33j minus 28j. So that gives me minus 28j. And then 16 plus negative 27 gives me negative 11. So I could write it like this. I could also write it negative 28j minus 11. Either way, those mean the exact same thing. Now, if you had any trouble adding these like terms together, like if you had any trouble at this step or this step, just let your teacher know and we can review with you how to add and subtract integers. All right, 2 and 4 are there for you to try. If you need any help, just ask your. On the back side of this page, we're just going to take the difficulty level up a little bit. So we're going to look at simplifying expressions that have parentheses, that include parentheses. So for number 1, anytime I have a number and then a quantity within the parentheses, I'm going to do the distributive property. So I need to distribute negative 4 times 5c plus negative 4 times 7. And then I have minus 3c plus 13. So negative 4 times 5c is negative 20c. Negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. And then I want to rewrite that subtraction as addition. And then I have plus 13. Next step, I'm going to write my like terms next to each other. And then I can add. So negative 20c plus negative 3c is negative 23c. And then negative 28 plus 13 is negative 15. Again, I could also write that negative 23c minus 15. Either way, those are the same thing. All right, go ahead and jot that down if you haven't already. All right, next up, I'm going to work out number 2. I'm going to go ahead and start writing it over here on the left, though, just so I make sure I have enough room. But this is still number 2 that I'm working out. So I have negative 16x squared. Or sorry, that's positive 16x squared. And then I need to distribute this negative 5. So I'll have negative 5 times 7 minus negative 5 times x squared plus 43. So that's 16x squared minus 35 minus negative 5x squared plus 43. So I have 16x squared minus 35 minus a negative becomes plus 5x squared plus 43. So then I can put my like terms next to each other. So I have 16x squared plus 5x squared. I'm going to rewrite this as addition. So plus negative 35 plus 43. Okay, working down, and I apologize, I'm all over the place here, but 16x squared plus 5x squared is 21x squared. And then negative 35 plus 43 is positive 8. So my simplified expression is 21x squared plus 8. Again, just a reminder, I cannot put these together because they're not like terms. They either both have to have the same variable part or they need to not have a variable part at all. So that's the simplified version of number 2. I'm going to let you guys try number 3. Don't forget you're going to have to do the distributive property in 2 different places here. So that's the first step you're going to have to do. I'm going to go ahead and work out number 4 because there's something I want to show you guys on there. So I have negative m squared plus 14. I have a subtraction sign, and then I have parentheses 6m squared plus 13 plus m squared. When I have this negative sign and then I open up parentheses, it might help you to write a 1 in there because technically I have a negative 1. We call that the ghostly 1 because it's not really there, but it still counts as a negative 1. So that's what I'm distributing to all of these. So I have negative m squared plus 14. And then when I multiply something by a negative 1, all I'm doing is changing its sign. So 6n squared would become negative 6n squared, 13 would become negative 13, and m squared would become negative m squared. So I want to rewrite this as all addition. So I have negative m squared plus 14 plus negative 6m squared plus negative 13 and plus negative m squared. So I've rewritten it all as addition, and then I want to put the like terms next to each other. So that's negative m squared plus negative 6m squared plus negative m squared plus 14 plus negative 13. I apologize for running out of room there. So negative m squared plus negative 6m squared is negative 7m squared. And then positive 14 and negative 13 gives me positive 1. So then my last step is just to put these m squareds together. So negative 7m squared plus negative m squared is negative 8m squared plus 1. And that's my simplified version there for number 4. So there's a lot to that one. If you have any trouble with that, just ask your teacher and we can walk through it with you. In the next section, we're going to look at how to find perimeters of geometric figures using solving expressions, which we've been working on in this section. So to find the perimeter of any triangle, all you're going to do is add up the 3 sides. So in this case, we need to add x plus 7 plus x plus 9 plus 2x minus 10. So we want to put all of our like terms together. So x plus 2x, and then 7 plus 9 plus negative 10. So this is 1x, and this is 1x, so total I have 4x. And then 7 plus 9 is 16, plus negative 10 is positive 6. And don't forget we need to put our units on there. Okay, so our perimeter, our simplified perimeter is 4x plus 6 units. To find the perimeter of a rectangle, we could just add up all the sides if we want. We can also use our formula, which you've probably learned in the past, which is 2 times the width plus 2 times the length. So in this case, that's going to be 2 times 6x minus 3 plus 2 times 4x plus 1. So as you can see, we're going to have to distribute here. So we'll wind up with 12x minus 6 plus 8x plus 4. I'm going to go ahead and leave this here for you guys to finish. So go ahead and finish out simplifying that expression. If you have any questions, just let your teacher know. Once you finish number 2, if you look, there's some review problems at the bottom on how to write a variable expression. Again, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. And this is the end of the Unit 2, Section 6 video.